Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 30th day of September 2025. We were finishing on that conversation about the political parties, and we'll be listening to what the ODM pre-events of the anniversary highlighted when they visited, I believe it was Kisii over the weekend, or was it on Friday? As we wait for that, Mheshimiwa Nyamita, talk to me about the state of Azimio, because for Jubilee Party to insist they're still within that coalition, what remains of Azimio really?
Sam, you'll allow me to just correct something to my brother here, that one, we have tremendous respect for Kalonzo Musyoka as a leader of this nation. And we have worked with Kalonzo Musyoka. ODM and Wiper have worked at least for 3 subsequent elections. Up until 2022, and they are still part of the Azimio coalition. And Kalonzo is a good man in a wrong company.
What do you mean?
Kalonzo is with people, think about it. You know what my brother was not telling you is that Fred Matiang'i and Kalonzo Musyoka were in church, and Matiang'i goes ahead to speak and says, me, I am a worker. Let me bring the people who are making noise. Then he introduces. That shows disrespect. He's only trying to be modest to try and, speak within the spirit of what they call united opposition. But the truth of the matter is, Matiang'i is already out of that team. If the events of last week, including the church incident that my good brother here is speaking about, because he introduced a senior politician in this country as a noisemaker. That is his view of the people in that group. Number 2, when you hear my brothers here say that they were never invited into Jubilee, they're just trying to be very modest. They simply boycotted. They had an opportunity. If at all there was a united opposition, they would have worked around the dates. That the fact that they were not invited in itself tells you that there is nothing called united opposition. This last weekend, you had, and even in that particular meeting where they went for Martha Karua's party, when Rigathi Gachagua rose to speak, the leaders he recognized in his speech and including in the church event over this last weekend, he recognized Kalonzo, Martha Karua, Eugene Wamalwa, himself, and J.B. Muturi. Matiang'i is completely out of the question. You will also note that in the Jubilee Special Delegates Conference, there was no mention of this other particular group. So they have already isolated themselves. That's number 1. Number 2, I am saying, and my brother here is saying that, for now they are still trying to find if they can work together. So that in itself is an admission that there is nothing called a united opposition. It is a group of political leaders brought together by a one term, by a slogan. Because when you hear Kalonzo Musyoka on one side, one term. If you hear Rigathi on one side, one term. If you hear Natembeya and all those other people, one term. They have been brought together by hate and slogans. It cannot last. Now they are still trying to find, who is going to be whatever. And I am just trying to tell you that when they finally settle, that number would have tremendously reduced from 5 to possibly 2 or 3 people. And I'm saying that Kalonzo Musyoka is a very good man. We have worked with him in previous elections. And even Robert Mbui, if you got him off mic, he will tell you they are in wrong company.
No.
They are completely they are completely in wrong company. So
it's interesting, Mheshimiwa Nyamita.
Yes.
Kalonzo Musyoka working with Rigathi Gachagua, who is a former deputy president of UDA, Eugene Wamalwa, who was in Azimio with you.
Who is actually, yes.
Who is the other person? Because George Natembeya is still DAPK. Justin Muturi, who was previously with UDA. You call that wrong company, but ODM is working with who? President of UDA, who previously worked with Rigathi Gachagua.
Okay.
Who else are you working with?
I'll talk about what ODM is doing. When ODM, and I think Baba was extremely clear, that when ODM actually came to work with President Ruto under UDA, with Kenya Kwanza, is actually really to save the nation. And it is in that realization. In fact, I've listened to the speech of Uhuru Kenyatta saying that a country, he has won and lost elections. And he's saying that you cannot be driven by hate. You cannot lead a country when you're still being driven by hate. And I like that statement from President William Ruto. I think Baba has demonstrated that from former President Uhuru. And I think that Baba has demonstrated that over a period of time. That after every other election, he has forgotten about the hate. He has forgotten about the tough working relationships that probably tough competition they've had with the opponent, and put the country first. And that's exactly what ODM has done now. And I said, when the Gen Z revolution actually came, and there was a lot of noise, there was instability, if they had managed to get into State House during that particular time, the military would have taken over. Today, we would be led with the military. We would have no 2027 to be talking about for purpose of election. So it was actually to bring in sanity and say, okay, fine, we were competing with the Kenya Kwanza regime, but they already have won and we have a country to keep. So what I'm saying, when I say that they're in wrong company, is because I look at Kalonzo Musyoka from the days of CORD, NASA, into the last election, into Azimio, the last election. And the reason why it has held on to its membership over a period of time, that's why I said, in that grouping, the only political party you can speak to is Wiper, because it has gone through multiple elections, including special elections where they have not presented a candidate. And when they still manage to get members of parliament, tells you that there is some level of stability in that particular whatever. He is in a wrong company. Wrong company for this reason. DCP is not a political party. It is a hate movement, and that's my position. That is why DCP has failed even to present a single candidate. Now, if these gentlemen are saying that, oh, they're still trying to find a working arrangement, they said they're going to. The first test is actually in these by-elections that are actually coming. How are they going to present themselves? Who are they essentially going to back? If you think about Eugene Wamalwa is only one election old. And even within it, there is already a tussle between Eugene Wamalwa and George Natembeya. Another split. Even the DAPK MPs who have since moved from there and are leaning towards Azimio coalition from the Western Bloc, or towards, and you can see that. So you cannot count DAPK. Of course, JB Muturi.
They were in Azimio coalition.
JB Muturi, a very good friend of mine, my senior man, I have, is my friend. JB took over DP. But DP's only claim was the one seat that Geoffrey Ruku came with to parliament. And we want to see the outcome of the elections that is actually going to happen in Bere. If they fail to clinch that particular seat, DP is dead. So what I'm trying to say is it's a grouping of people united by hate against one individual. And time and again, they have continued to display that.
Okay.
Because when they go to their functions, or even when they get an opportunity to speak, the guy, they will tell you it's one term. Kalonzo will tell you it is one term. Everyone will tell you it is one term. But the thing is this, even Uhuru, who, speaking at the Special Delegates Conference, tried to go through his scorecard, which if we were to display it here some on TV, is nothing. In fact, I had the Uhuru saying that, we have replaced, certain programs with untried and untested. I called the view that the biggest trial and error, the biggest tried and untested thing that this country ever did was the election of Uhuru Kenyatta.
Whose deputy was?
I am talking about the person who was elected.
Whose deputy was?
Whose deputy was President William Ruto, who now has actually demonstrated that possibly he was a reason behind a bit of stability in that particular government. I can tell you. And there are facts to show it.
The leader of ODM said during that meeting on Friday.
Hii vile tunaendelea tuko katika broad based, lakini sisi tumejipanga tutahakikisha ya kwamba ODM is going to form the next government or they will be part of the next government. ODM will never be called an opposition party again in this world.
Sisi kama wanachama cha ODM, kiongozi wetu ambao tunamfuata anaitwa Raila Amolo Odinga. Baba akisema left tunaenda wapi? Na akisema right tunaenda wapi? Na akisema fire tunafanya nini?
Kwa sasa mpaka mwaka 2027 tunasema sisi tuko ndani ya broad based government.
Nyinyi vijana msipokaa imara na spirit ya ODM, devolution itanyongwa. National government mara kwa mara wanataka kucontrol hawa magavana.
Mimi nataka kuambia wale jamaa ambao wamefaidika kwa chama cha ODM ya kwamba lazima waheshimu kinara wetu Raila Amolo Odinga.
All right, of course, there's a clip of Raila Odinga previously where he was speaking about no decision made yet. But I just wanted to take that point. I asked you a question of the status of Azimio. You didn't respond.
The status of Azimio, I think I would say that out of robustness of democracy,
yep,
it has allowed its membership to go different directions. So there are others who are on their own, like Jubilee now are on their own. It has others that are in this grouping of what we call opposition, and it has another one that is actually in government. But you heard Uhuru say that they're in Azimio, Wiper, still part of Azimio. Of course, ODM, still part of the Azimio movement. But the truth of the matter is that I think that there is one wing that feels like they need to field a candidate in the next election. And I think all political parties have a right to field a candidate in the next election. But there's one that is supporting the government to make Kenya great and support what is exactly working. And I think that's where some of us belong. So Azimio coalition exists only on paper.
Exists only on paper.
Yeah.
So your take is that ODM should not field the presidential candidate in 2020?
No. That's not for me to, that's not a decision. It's a decision way above.
I'm saying your take, not your decision.
No. For me, by the way, if you ask me, I think we should continue working with President William Ruto. If what he is doing, he continues to do what he's doing, especially what we have seen, and I can list a few things that I have seen myself, then I think that we can work. But in an arrangement whereby now there's a balance of, sort of power, so that the composition of the bigger team is not just a few people from the opposition, from ODM that have actually been picked, but in a way that we can have more experts into it to strengthen the
more experts. Experts only come from ODM. Mheshimiwa Mbuyu, your take, does Azimio really exist? Well, why don't you just dissolve it if everyone is going different directions?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. First, let me just clarify. DAPK is part of Azimio, was part of Azimio in the run-up to the last election.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to say one term is not a hate issue, but it's a reality. A reality that the current president will serve one term, just like many presidents in Africa have. And the reason being that Kenyans are disenfranchised. Polls show that he's the most unpopular president around, and since he took up power, when he came into office, he rode on a very popular wave. And the reality now has hit Kenyans that he didn't have what it takes to run the country. And that's why we are saying let him serve his one term and then leave. Now, the issue is you keep saying of wrong company. I'm happy, Sam, you've just said it. When you say that when we are with Rigathi Gachagua, it's wrong company. And then when you are with Ruto, who was our opponent, that's the right company. That's double speak. Let's agree that we basically are going in different directions, but we have remained where we were elected by Kenyans to be. We have remained as Wiper in the position of minority. We have stayed there. We haven't moved. It's actually, our friends in ODM that have moved to the majority side and left us. So basically, I think that's a reality. But then I want us to be honest about this issue that you have said that, ODM was stabilizing the country, and that is why you joined William Samoei Ruto. In 2013, Sam, I was in a CORD coalition as a member. That's when I was first elected.
Yeah.
After the elections, we went on a petition and we were very cross, and we completely, even though we accepted the verdict of the Supreme Court on the decision that Uhuru won, we never really agreed with it. In 2017, we went to the streets, We went to the streets. I was shot, my leg was broken. I still walk with a metal plate because of those demonstrations when we were saying that our election was stolen. That was our position then. And we were in the streets for quite a long time. And so then at that time it was okay to do demonstrations. And sometimes I feel the pain that why then was I out in the streets? Why was I shot? Why was my leg broken? Why did Raila himself come to see me in a hospital? And then we said we are resisting. It pains me because for me it's personal, because I'm a personal victim of violence because of demonstrations. In 2022, after the elections, we were in the streets with sufurias on our heads. The whole of 2023 complaining about the cost of living against the current regime. So when our young people go to the streets and say, now you have tried it and it didn't work, let us push this agenda for you. Suddenly it becomes that, now we must go to government because then these demonstrations are no longer right. So I think personally, I think we have to have a honest conversation.
Yeah.
ODM have left us in the minority. They've gone to the majority. And the reason we are saying, he says Azimio is almost dead. I would say Azimio is dysfunctional.
Yeah.
It's dysfunctional because the parties that form Azimio have gone in different directions. Jubilee was the first one. They crossed the floor and started working with the William Samoei regime of Kenya Kwanza. ODM and Wiper that remained and DAPK were very cross with Jubilee. We fought, we kicked out the deputy whip of the minority that was Sabina Chege because of moving to the side of the majority. That was the position. In fact, that's the reason they stood aside and said we are not part of the majority or the minority. Now later on, Mark Nyamita and company have crossed the floor. And because they're the big brother, everybody is quiet. But the truth is that, it's dysfunctional because they have crossed the floor and chosen not to cross the floor, they sit with us. It would have been wiser if ODM actually crossed the floor and went to join the majority. Because right now in the National Assembly, we have 2 majority leaders and 1 minority leader. That's a reality. That's a truth.
Who is the one minority?
The minority leader is myself. Okay. And there are 2 majority leaders because both of them. And I'll tell you this, because every time there's any agenda, let me say, sometimes it's good to be honest about these things. You can hide, but you can hide when people can see. You can hide in plain sight. If you join the party that forms government, for all intents and purposes, there are certain positions that you have to relinquish. Because our standing orders are very clear about those that are in there is these oversight committees, for example, the Public Accounts Committee, Public Investments Committee. You cannot have somebody that comes from the party forming government also being the chair or managing those committees. Yeah. That's a position in law. So I feel that at the end of the day, we are doing a disservice to the country because when William Samoei Ruto wants to sell Kenya Pipeline Company, those that should be putting a stop to it are on his side. That's what, so right now, Kenya as a country, oversight that is supposed to be offered by the National Assembly through the minority is going to be becoming increasingly difficult because of the comments that are being made. You see, Mark Nyamita says Ruto is doing a very good job, splendid job. You listen to the choir in the house. That is what they keep saying. You've heard the leader himself. He said, we'll form the next government or be in the next government. So that is a strategy. But the truth is, they are supporting the current regime. The honorable thing to have done is to agree that since Azimio is dysfunctional, they will join Kenya Kwanza officially and form a coalition arrangement with Kenya Kwanza, and then work together on that side. And then allow us with DAPK, because I think DAPK members are still with us, a few KANU members are still with us, Wiper is still with us. So as we remain as a minority, and try and see with the little numbers how much checking of the system we can do. I think that's the fairest thing for the sake of this country.
I think,
Nyamita, as you respond, should Kenyans really take you politicians seriously? Because you come to them during an election and tell them this is what we want to do. Those guys are bad. We're the right ones. Elect us. Then you're elected. You win or you don't in terms of forming the government. A few years later, you're working together and saying that this is a saint, this is working so well, we support them. Should you take you seriously?
Sam, I'll respond to you. I think that Kenyans have a choice to know who to take seriously. And I can tell you for now, they actually know that they shouldn't take the opposition, they purported the opposition seriously. Because they have no agenda.
So they shouldn't take...
Now,
Sorry, Mheshimiwa Nyamita. They shouldn't take the United Opposition seriously.
Absolutely, because...
They take ODM seriously.
Completely.
Because?
Because ODM has come to save the nation. Because ODM has been here and continues to speak on matters that affect the common man.
So when Junet says that ODM will never be in the opposition, that is saving the nation?
Absolutely. There is not a single political party that is formed that is destined for the opposition. There is not. My good brother here, even him, if you ask him, what does he see in the next election? He wants to be in government. So there's not single political party that says, when Junet says that they will no longer be in opposition, because the reason why political parties are formed is actually to form government or be in government. And that's exactly what he's saying. But let me say something. I think that my leader here is not being very honest. There is not a single thing that the ODM coalition has stopped Wiper, DAPK, and their affiliates or their friends from doing on the floor of the House. Absolutely nothing. There is absolutely nothing that has stopped Robert Mbui from doing what he thinks he can be able to do. The fact that Mark Nyamita might support an agenda that is on the floor of the House does not stop Robert Mbui from opposing. So let them not give excuses to Kenyans by saying, oh, you know, ODM, our bigger brother, is now in a working arrangement. So now us, we cannot be able to...
appropriate that both the majority and minority sides are in government?
No, there is no... first of all, and Robert Mbui will agree with me, Parliament is an institution that is supposed to oversight. This constitution says that the Parliament is an institution that's supposed to oversight the executive. So there is never this political party is in government and another one is not.
No.
So it is just that...
You just had your fellow members in ODM saying that took a broad-based government. What does that mean?
ODM, that is a political party. We are talking about National Assembly. They are two different things.
But they sit in the National Assembly.
No. When they say ODM is in the broad-based government, but when we get to the floor, if you were to look at the principle of separation of powers, the National Assembly, the legislature is actually independent. So when we get actually on the floor of the House, the ideal thing that needs to happen is we need to be separate. We need to be able to oversight.
That's not visible.
That's what I'm saying. The thing is this. It cannot be, it shouldn't be, and I want to challenge my good brother here, that true democracy does not mean that you have to oppose everything so that you are in opposition. There are good things that have come on the floor of the House. For example, when we have made laws together, including budgets, we have supported them together. So it doesn't mean that because you are not in the party that forms government, that every other government proposal, even the one that is good, you have to oppose to remain relevant. And that's what I'm saying. So on the floor of the House, Wiper Party, DAPK, a few of the Jubilee people who are on the opposition side, and all the other parties that he is talking about, there is no one who has stopped them on the floor of the House from doing what they think is actually right. In fact, even if ODM today dissolved and said, we have joined UDA, we will still be in the same House. And they should be able to still do the same. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to. No, there is nothing like that. ODM is strengthening itself, and ODM is a national party, so it is strengthening itself in readiness for the next election. UDA is strengthening itself in readiness for the next election, and things like that. But when he says, and I sympathize with my brother, because indeed he was shot in the leg during demonstrations, and he comes and says that when we demonstrated with Baba on the street, when we demonstrated over a period of time, then now we left it to the Gen Zs to demonstrate. And then now, you know, other people are saying demonstration is not. Robert Mbui, when you do the same thing every single day, the same way, and it doesn't get you any different result, you change tactic. It is simple. We cannot be saying
maybe that's what they are doing.
That demonstration, because let me tell you, when you think about Baba, for example, don't talk about demonstrations here on the street. The Mzee was detained for almost 8 to 9 years without seeing his family. He has gone through that. He has gone through all these demonstrations. But he's saying, I have done all these particular things. I have not got a different result. I have to try something different. But bottom line is Kenya is bigger than all of us. So when he speaks about, for example, that, when there's an attempt to privatize, for example, Kenya Pipeline, it comes to the floor of the House, there will be no one to actually stop it. We will look at that proposal on merit.
Like you've always done.
Yeah, we'll look at it on merit.
Let's take a look at what Uhuru Kenyatta said on the future of the party.
We shall be preparing for the next general election and doing so in earnest. And it remains our firm intention to field the best possible candidates for all elective positions. We shall either do this on our own or we shall do this in concert with like-minded political movements.
Speaking about the possibility of coalitions in the future, but at the same time, he also spoke about what has happened in the 3 years of Kenya Kwanza administration. Watch.
Many of the gains we had in the past have been eroded. Linda Mama and others replaced by new, untried, untested schemes. And while we wait for these experiments to work, Kenyans suffer and our progress is retarded.
Is it justified, Mheshimiwa Mbui?
Yeah, I think nobody has put it better since 2022 than Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. That actually Kenya is an experimental guinea pig of William Samoei Ruto and his regime. And I'll talk about a few issues. Let's start with education. The first thing he does is he comes up with a new university funding model, which has since failed and is reversing, going backwards to what was there before. But in the process of doing that funding model and coming up with some system, the dropout rates at the university have gone up. A lot of, very, very intelligent young boys and girls their parents were unable to pay their fee, and so they dropped out of university. So that experiment failed. In the education sector, again, on junior secondary schools, he's come up with a curriculum that, that is completely convoluted. I'll tell you some that, and I've said this before, there are subjects that are there in that curriculum that have no teachers. A subject like pre-technical that has things to do with coding, that have things to do with business studies, that have things to do with woodwork, all combined into one subject. Which teacher in the world has been trained to teach that? Things like creative arts, a subject that has music, that has fine art, that has got physical education. Again, which teacher has been trained to teach that? Because these are different subjects being just lumped together. Another subject that has things like agriculture combined with home science. So I think the experiments in the education sector have failed, and I think it's a high time that we call out these things. On the health sector, he came up and found NHIF and said, no, we are going to change it. We are going to come up with SHA, a system that has cost 104 billion. We said this thing is not working. Now, the other day I said I'm happy. Maybe I'm not very happy to hear them agree that, yes, these things were bad, because at the end of the day, it's a negative thing. So the system has failed. Everybody is crying. The president is complaining. The CS of health is complaining that the system that is costing so much is not working. So basically, that was another experiment experiment that has failed. And, they came up with a system they call means testing.
Yep.
They said, we are going to be able to know how much everybody is able to pay. That thing has collapsed. It's totally, untenable. And so what has happened now is that they've lumped everybody into a certain category. And that's why you see when people...
What? For SHA? Or
for SHA, for payment of SHA. Because means testing was to decide how much you should be paying. So they were saying, those people that are the lowest in the bracket will pay less, others. Now, the lowest in the bracket are being made to pay 6,000 shillings per annum up front. That is 500 shillings a month. That is exactly what NHIF was doing, but NHIF, was a little bit more structured. Now, also he came up with serious experiments on the taxation. He had said different things before the last election on taxation on fuel, on taxation on businesses, on income. He comes into office, he overtaxes fuel, he overtaxes businesses, he overtaxes employees, and in fact creates tax regimes that are so unpredictable that foreign investors have shunned this country, and that's why unemployment has gone up. Now, he's also come up with an experiment of trying to sell critical government infrastructure. One of them, we stopped it on its tracks. He wanted to sell JKIA. He wanted to sell Ketraco. We blocked that. Now he's attempting to sell Kenya Pipeline Company. And I hope that, because that was on the order papers. So maybe I can tell you, before we went on recess, it was the last order of business. And we closed the House that day at 7 p.m. It was the last order of business. And members were ready to vote and collapse this attempt. And you know what? We have done 1 week after recess. It was not on the order paper the whole week. So I think they're buying time to see when members will be appeased and maybe talked to nicely. I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on, so that they can pass it. It would be ill-advised to allow a critical infrastructure like Kenya Pipeline Company to be sold to private investors. And especially when up to now, we don't even have the actual value, because they are trying to sell it without even a proper valuation report. Again, we have, the management of demonstrations. Again, experiments. When he realized that, demonstrations are still going on, he's come up with an experiment of saying, try and shoot them in the legs. They shot Rex Masai, he died. The president himself is saying, shoot demonstrators. That's an experiment. He's tried to abduct demonstrators. And then now, he's realized maybe it's not working. He's brought goons. Now, when you go to demonstrate, the police are walking hand in hand, side by side with goons to stop demonstrations. Kenya has become an experimental guinea pig for the regime.
To be fair, the statement about shooting on the leg came after the demonstrations of this July.
Yeah, but I'm saying Kenya is an experimental guinea pig.
You sound like you're backdating.
No, I'm not. At the point when he said it, it is saying that is how we will handle you. So it's basically is trying to exercise it on us. Okay. So I think Kenya has been an experimental guinea pig, and the guinea pig has died in the hands of the Kenya Kwanza regime. We need to get them out so that we can take back this country into the hands of people where the country will be safe.
Now, Mheshimiwa Nyamita, you had mentioned and said that if you had to carefully look at the scorecard of President Uhuru Kenyatta, some of those things he's saying are not accurate. What do you take issue with? Because he singled out Linda Mama, for instance.
Some.
Yeah.
I wish we had enough time to to go through. But let's start with Linda Mama.
Yeah.
What was Linda Mama about? Linda Mama was a free maternity cover for our mothers, our sisters, and our women in hospital. Beyond that, there was nothing. It was only free maternity cover in public hospitals. If my memory serves me right, Sam, didn't we see governors protesting here, delays in payments, reimbursements to the county government over that Linda Mama program? Some are still outstanding to date, and they have come up in audit reports in Parliament, where both Honorable Mbuyi and I sit. In that particular health, isn't Uhuru the person who introduced this leasing, the medical equipment leasing program? Do you remember the scandal of the health containers in the ministry, whereby including his own family, his own family was actually involved? That leasing program, governors were up in arms. It was way costed. It was way beyond. The report is on the floor of the House in the Committee of Health, they cannot be able to sustain it. Counties are saying it was done without consultation and things like that. That's the thing that we actually remember. When we are talking about NHIF, Uhuru Kenyatta promised universal health care. The NHIF that people are talking about here only covered about up to 7 million people. SHA is almost 25 million people.
No, we're told it's 9 million by President Ruto.
That's fine, even if it is 9 million. 9 million to 25. It's a whole difference. Today, in NHIF...
Sorry, 9 million NHIF, 25 million what?
Registered under SHA.
Registered?
Yes.
How many are covered under SHIF?
Don't forget about SHIF.
Why?
I'm talking about registered, but everyone who is actually registered under SHA, even outpatient, they can be able to get.
Have you had complaints of people saying that they are going to...
I will come to the issue of the... I will come to the issue of the complaints.
Hold on. People are saying they are going to hospitals on account of registration. They are seeking services.
Correct.
Being told you have to first pay for SHIF. And I'm raising this issue because we are talking about maternity cover. There are mothers at the MTRH in Eldoret, at the Thika Level 5 hospital that we have covered on Citizen TV, them complaining they have been detained because they have not paid the resources. Linda Mama would have catered for them.
That's
SHA
fine.
Not.
I am just trying to say, Linda Mama provided for free maternity.
Yeah.
But SHA is more robust, it goes beyond maternity.
And requires...
Because the hospital requirements in this country, Sam, is not limited to our women who are going for maternity.
No, but you're talking about Linda Mama, it's about mothers.
So when Uhuru compares Linda Mama to SHA, it is not comparable. Because this other one is a bit much more robust.
An apple for an apple.
Okay.
Because SHA SHIF is supposed to be an improvement of NHIF.
Correct.
But Linda Mama mothers benefited. You can talk about reimbursement for counties, which is a different conversation.
Okay.
But at the same time, mothers cannot go to a hospital for free maternal care. Today, whether they are able to pay or not.
There was nothing free even during that time. Even then, women were turned away, and we saw it here on TV. Sam, if you went into your archives, you will show women were complaining because they were being turned away from county hospitals because it was a program that was not sustainable. That is the truth. It is here, you have the record.
There are no mothers that benefited from Linda Mama. That's what
There are members, there are mothers who have benefited from Linda Mama, just like there are mothers who have benefited from SHA. A few have been actually detained, which is an unfortunate incident that shouldn't actually have happened. I am saying Linda Mama, there are women who benefited, but there are women who are also disadvantaged. It is here on your archives in this particular television. They were shown here, whereby they were turned away from hospitals because the government hadn't paid the reimbursement, because it was a program that was not sustainable. SHA, we have seen people being detained because it's not being paid. Now, let me take you back to SHIF, even, and NHIF. In NHIF, if someone got sick and they went to hospital, they would be required to have NHIF. And that NHIF you had to pay. Even if you paid for the whole year, you still had to wait for 2 months. Today, when someone is sick, I have been, including my own nephew, recently was just actually discharged, a bill of 400,000. How much did we pay? Just recently, I think it was even reported on media, there is a gentleman who was shot in Migori. When he was taken to hospital on an emergency to remove a bullet from the spine, he did not have the cover. What did we do? We paid 7,000 for SHA. It's been covered. How much is the bill? It's 600,000. So when they're being asked to pay upfront, you're paying upfront to save yourself. There is a lady who's had kidney issues, a student from Kisii University, just discharged yesterday from Kenyatta National Hospital, a bill of 900,000, paid.
Has it been paid?
It has actually been paid. She has actually been released.
Has it been paid or she has been released?
You see, let's talk about it this way. I'm talking about the patient. When they have gone to hospital, they have actually paid 7,000. They have actually been discharged out of a bill of 900,000. Payment, they continue to pay. But, you know, there are other issues, you know, audit issues that are actually going on there. That's a separate discussion. So what I'm trying to say, and some, let me get you right. The comparison of Uhuru saying that tried and tested, I still hold the view that the biggest trial and error that we ever had in this country was the election of Uhuru Kenyatta. That was the biggest. That's the biggest mistake that we ever did, because even the debt we are talking about, Do you remember Uhuru?
No, I don't want you to go so far because
but let me. Okay, that's fine. Let me limit myself to the matters health.
Sorry, so that we make progress. You're saying you know patients who have had their bills paid.
Yes.
But I've also heard from hospitals saying that their bills are not being paid. Case in point, Bagathi Hospital, that talks about a balance of 167 million shillings.
Some, in the context of what we are speaking about, even NHIF had a process of payment. And even then, at the time of closure, it had a debt of close to 30 billion.
Yes.
Of hospitals that actually had not received their payments. And the issue of NHIF paying hospitals, that's a whole different story. Me, I'm talking about the experience of patients.
What is the debt of SHA now?
I don't know. I don't have the exact figures. And I'm saying that whole debt issue is something that we can discuss. But the truth of the matter, Sam, within that list, and we have seen, and those reports have even come to Parliament, we have seen, including the things that used to happen in NHIF, we saw clinics on top of supermarkets were conducting surgeries. It is true. So that verification process, let them go through it. The verification process and the payment process, that one is for them to actually do. Until such a time that, you know, and now we are back in Parliament, and I think the Committee on Health will actually call them so that they can be able to document it. But to pick one story and make a generalization, and let me tell you something, Sam. And I want to ask also the media and also my good friends. Truth be said, that SHA has one or two things that need to be fixed. But in terms of inclusivity, let us love this country. In terms of inclusivity, I can tell you, my brother here will confirm, if he's honest, that the number of harambes that now we are going for in health-related matters has significantly reduced. Nowadays, you call me, I only pay for you the SHA, and you go. So we can deal with the issue of the debt and the verification process and all those other things, but we must support it to work the way it should be. But let me respond to a few things that he actually did mention.
No, before you do, I just wanted us to listen to what the leaders of Kenya Kwanza said in regards to what the former president stated.
Meipanua kupitia SHA, sio linda mama pekee, inalinda mama, inalinda mzee, inalinda kijana.
The truth is, I am sure deep in your heart, you are shocked that William Ruto has managed to stabilize the economy of this country.
Uliogopa maneno ya housing, uliogopa maneno yote, kubadilisha maneno ya mazomo nini, sasa inakusumbua kichwa, unaona mwingine anafanya.
Wewe nenda kimya, wacha Kenya iende mbele.
We have not told Kenyans you are the problem. Tulikuwa tunajaribu kulipa madeni ambao wao ulikopa.
You are a part and a parcel of the mess that Kenya is undergoing. You cannot run away.
We expect that those who call themselves the opposition can point out the kind of issues that the former president was made to talk about, but not to have the president himself, the former president himself, dragged into partisan politics.
I'll get to you. Honorable Mbui, it looks like in this country it's difficult for the political class to agree on what is the real state of the nation. I don't,
let me respond to what
so
that we have a balance of this discussion.
If you promise to make it brief.
Yeah, I'm going to make it extremely brief.
In under a minute.
You know, when we speak about, for example, education, our education sector is not yet at a stable level. But when we say that the experiment of the new curriculum, who brought it? It is Uhuru Kenyatta.
No.
It is Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes, it's new.
No.
Junior secondary school.
The new curriculum which provided for junior secondary.
There was a working task force, and that's the one.
Let me just explain.
William Ruto.
The change from 844 to what exactly we have was actually brought by Uhuru Kenyatta without a proper plan. And what is it that the president has been trying to do? He's been just trying to fix it. So far, in less than 3 years, Uhuru Kenyatta was here for 10 years, only hired less than about 30,000 teachers. This particular government, in less than 3 years, has hired over 100,000 teachers in a bid to try and correct what my brother here was actually talking about.
They say 76,000.
76, and they're hiring now. They've already, yeah, but now they are teachers, they are working.
Hopefully to get to 100,000 next year.
They are going to get to 100,000 this year. We provided for that money in the budget.
No, the statement was that it's January next year.
I am just trying to tell you, because I sit with my brother here, it has actually been provided
budget,
for.
But
it has actually been it's
next. It will be done next year, but it's in the budget.
We're saying the same thing. It's next year, which is fine.
We are saying actually
the interns advert has already been released, and when they actually are onboarded, they work as teachers. They're only waiting for confirmation next year.
Yeah.
So what I'm talking about, even if you were to talk about 76,000, is twice the number that Uhuru hired in about 10 years. Why has this government been able to do that? Is to try and address the issues of my brother was talking about, teachers, inadequacy of teachers and things like that. The number of classrooms that have been done is almost 30,000. That actually, if you exclude the ones that are actually being done by CDF. So what this government is trying to do is to correct a mess whereby we change the curriculum in our education without proper plans. And you cannot come and blame then your predecessor. If you remember at the exit of Uhuru's tenure, he had actually predicted and said, this government, they will not run it in about a year. In fact, Mbui, you remember when we had a meeting in Masai Lodge after the elections, and Uhuru came and in the morning when as a chair of Azimio, and we were all there, and all the political all of us who had been elected under the Azimio coalition were there. And Uhuru said, I can tell you guys, don't worry, I will go and hand over power peacefully, which I think was a good thing. But these guys will not go beyond a year. Watainua mikono. Because he knew very well he had run the economy. There was a prediction that Kenya was among 5 countries that was going to default on its debt. The current government worked extremely hard to try and rescue it. When Uhuru says that, I heard him even say in his statement that he was doing roads equitably. I can tell you, for 10 years, Uhuru was only seen in Migori once during a malaria launch, and someone gave him a pair of shoes and then he left.
There were no roads built in Migori?
Never, not a single one, under Uhuru regime. I'm telling you the truth, I come from Migori. When he says that he improved the electricity connectivity from 35 to 70%, I want to ask my good brother here, Kathiani, is electricity connectivity. I want him to look straight into the eye to the people of Kathiani and tell them that indeed Uhuru left electricity connectivity in his constituency at 70%. In my constituency, it is at a paltry 30%. There was nothing that was done. The infrastructure in terms of roads, Robert Mbui, you remember we saw that in the budget. It was only in one section of this country. It is a fact. There was, when you talk about public appointments, they were extremely skewed. So I want to say that we respect Uhuru Kenyatta. And he did the right thing, by the way, for peaceful handover of power.
Uhuru Kenyatta in the handshake?
No, that's what I'm saying. No, let me tell you.
There were no projects in your region at all?
There was only the rehabilitation of the Kisumu port. I'm from Migori.
Okay.
Yeah, I am from Migori. There was only rehabilitation, which was a last-minute sort of a thing. The things that Ruto has done in the last 3 years, in that larger region, including in Ukambani,
so now there are roads.
Is way higher. Like, for example, in Ukambani, where we look forward to being hosted by my brother here from Kathiani on the 12th of this year, they have a modern stadium coming up in Kitui.
Which date is that now?
12th of December for Jamhuri. Is it Jamhuri celebration?
But it's Mashujaa Day, no?
Yeah, Mashujaa Day.
I think it's 20th.
It's 20th, actually.
Yeah.
It's coming way sooner. I thought it was in December. So we're going to be hosted by him in a modern stadium that was never done, even despite his party leader having been a vice president for all those years. Another one is also coming up in Machar.
I gave you a minute. You're overstretching your answer. Now, Mheshimiwa Mbui, I was asking you because it looks like it is very difficult to agree on what exactly is happening in this country as long as you're talking to politicians. Never mind that data says a different story. Who should you trust when you listen to you people?
Sam, I think the answer of who you should trust should go back into, we should go back into history and study all the people that are coming before us, presenting themselves for elective office, all the way from MCA to the president. And if people have a dubious past that is well known and documented, you know, then we have to be careful. If somebody tells you who they are, then you believe them. If somebody has been accused of grabbing land of individuals, taken to court, fined, you know, that means that is a scary person. If a person has been involved in attempting to grab land that belongs to a private school and, you know, and comes to confess later, yeah, that is my business, those are people you have to run away from. So I think we know each other. Kenyans know each other. The leaders, political leaders are known. Those that have been involved in land grabbing, those that have been involved in corruption, those that have cut underhand deals, those that cannot be trusted, because when you strike a deal with them and you make an agreement with them, you sign an MOU with them, you know that in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they are going to go against it. We know each other, so we need to find people that are credible and trustworthy, so that those are the people that we give this country to.
They exist.
You know, yes, my party leader is one such person. You know, there is absolutely no scandal that you can pick on and place on him. That's why even Mark Nyamita, even though he's in the broad-based government, says Kalonzo is a good person. That's such a person. That's a kind of person. So it's okay, we can discuss the company, but he's in agreement. That is the kind of person that needs to be given the mantle to manage this country, because Kenya needs to go back to sobriety and maturity and to be able to figure out how to move forward. But you know, I have listened to the leaders that have spoken here.
Yeah.
And I think now when Mark Nyamita said what he said earlier, now I see where it's coming from. I've seen leaders united in hate against the former president, you know. So I want to agree with you. But let me say this, Mark, as you are responding, the issue of the university funding model, I think that one, you know, that was a big mess. Even the regime has actually kind of withdrawn it and changed the system back to closer to what it was before. So I am right to say that we've been an experimental guinea pig. But the comments Uhuru made, because I was there, Mark Nyamita has changed slightly the context. Because it is true that Uhuru said that they will not be able to manage. And it is true, he said that to us when we were in Masai Lodge. But the context was that he's going to hand over power because Ruto has won. But we as Azimio at that point had the majority of members in the House. So he said the power is with us. Because ideally, the power should be with Parliament to be able to control what happens from the executive, because all laws are passed by Parliament, budget is made by Parliament, so would have been able to assist to run the country as Parliament. Yeah. But unfortunately, a number of members from the Azimio coalition were procured in dubious ways. Suddenly, our numbers dropped. They have dropped even further because ODM has also gone.
Maybe they felt in the wrong company. so now, Wasami, just a moment, Mark. Wasami is telling us, you come from Migori. Some of the roads and projects specifically mentioned as being tarmacked or constructed since 2013 include Road A1, part of the road linking Kenya with Tanzania through Isibania, Migori and Kisii counties, Isibania, Kehancha, Kegonga and Timaru Road, E166. Are these roads constructed?
No, it's actually just now that there's money that has been put that is actually, they're being done. Rongo Riosir is actually in this particular budget and the previous one.
I'm told there's someone who passes through that road and says it's already done.
I come from, Rongo Riosir Road has not been done. It has not been done.
I have someone shouting in my ear that's not accurate. Now, Muhuru Bay Kehancha, C13, done or not?
Muhuru Bay. There is no road from Muhuru Bay to Kehancha.
Rapogi Ogwedi D202.
Rapogi Ogwedi CD. There is no road from Rapogi to Ogwedi. Rapogi is actually where I come from, by the way. That's where my home is.
So there's no road?
So the road that was actually done is from Uriri to Rapogi, and it was done by the county government.
Toku, Bridge, Uriri, Oria, and approach roads, E205.
No. That's my constituency.
Kanga Kitere Road.
Kanga Kitere Road is a small stretch of about less than a kilometer that was done.
By who?
It was done in the previous regime. But let me tell you.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
The Masara Suna Kehancha B1 Road and the Awendo Mariwa Oyani C727 Road were also constructed or upgraded and commissioned in 2018. True or not true?
I can tell you, and it's good to put context.
Yeah.
It's good that we are talking about roads. From Awendo to Mariwa, which is a road admittedly done during Uhuru Kenyatta's time, is actually just about 3 kilometers.
It's a road?
No, listen to me. Are you going to tell me?
No, you said no road was done in Migori.
Sam, essentially it is no road because you cannot tell us you cannot say 3 kilometers is done in Migori when 1,000 kilometers is done elsewhere, and you say that you're
Nyamita, those are details. Yeah. You claimed no road was constructed by President during President Uhuru Kenyatta.
No substantial road.
So you're amending your statement to make no substantial.
No substantial road. But let me say something about...
No, before you say something, feedback. It's no secret. Many politicians join hands to eat together after elections. But at what cost? The people are left with high taxes, rising debt, and shrinking trust. Party politics should serve Kenyans, not political survival. That is Okto Kama. You also say Parliament is meant to represent the people, not just the president, yet some MPs openly admit we pass bills for the president, who then speaks for the Mwananchi. Democracy without accountability is just a show. Remy Butia, Kenya's 2027 political scene is characterized by intense competition, shifting alliances, generational voter changes, and a public hungry for credible alternatives, setting the stage for a potentially volatile and unpredictable election. Then, now that Raila Odinga is in good company, will it deliver a presidency for him in 2027 against William Ruto? My question to Nyamita, you can answer that. There is Bob Owino. In General Lazaro Kanyambok, you're saying mistrust, supremacy battles, backstabbings, and divergent ideologies will affect both coalitions before 2027 general election. Parties will start competing amongst themselves within the coalitions. Mark my words. Then Sir Nixon Tugire, Kenyans, we can as well do a short list and say we want a woman president this time. So far, we only have one elaborate and qualified candidate who might as well assist greatly in closing the 2/3 gender role gap, Wamama Hoye. You don't say who that is. Yes, that's just a bit of the feedback. There's a specific question to you about whether working with William Ruto will give presidency to Raila Odinga.
I don't think that presidency is the only ultimate thing for Raila. Raila has believed in the improvement of the livelihoods of Kenyans. So it doesn't mean, and even now as he's working with the president, it's not because President Ruto has let him be the president. So it doesn't have to be. We are going to be in government in the next election. And that is a wish for every political party, including the parties that are in the opposition. I just wanted to say that when you're saying, can politicians be trusted? And I think that's a very good question. Let us look at every particular politician on merit. And when he speaks about Kalonzo Musyoka, I also want to agree with him. You know, Kalonzo is a good, polite, good man. But, trust and Kalonzo you cannot put on the same table because that is not. And we have history to show for it. You remember what happened wakati alipitia katikati, and you know what Kalonzo...
You knew that when ODM picked him as running mate in 2013?
I know.
You knew that in 2013?
I am just trying to say there is no saint in politics, including the two of us who are sat here. Okay. None of us, not even in politics.
I'm not saint either, but I'm trustworthy.
There's no saint. There's no saint across, including the media house. And when he says that Kalonzo has not been accepted, remember there was a time, I don't know the facts and I don't want to go into it, but there was a land grab issue around some NYS land.
I can confirm that you went to DCI.
We're not going.
We went to DCI and it was clear.
Let us not reopen the conversation.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
what you're saying is...
In the global picture,
what you're saying is...
the political class.
Yes.
Let me tell you, let me put it this way, Sam.
Yeah.
The politicians you see are a reflection of the people they represent.
Wow.
That's the truth.
Is that you gaslighting Kenyans, Mark Nyamita?
No, it's the truth.
Thank you so much for making time for us. Indeed, there are no saints in politics. They have also told you that even if you want to trust at your own risk. Wasami says...
We didn't say that.
No. That's what you're saying, that everyone has an issue. The MPs you host should know they are talking to people who understand the terrain. They are used to village lies. Really, Wasami? He's the one who's providing us some of that information about the roads in Migori. We'll strive to verify what you're saying.
Please verify.
To see
Please verify.
The exact status is. Thank you so much, Robert Mbui, as well as Mark Nyamita for making time for us. Unfortunately, Patrick Munene didn't join us. Jeremiah Kioni sent his apologies. And I'm also reminded that tomorrow marks the first full year of the Social Health Authority in operation, because it was rolled out on the 1st of October. What a milestone, a moment for us to talk about the progress made and the opportunities as well as the challenges ahead. Bye for now. My name is Sam Gituku. See you again some other time.